The main thing with working with sound bowls is that frequency plus intention equals healing.
Yes, look at you.
I read the course. I did pay some attention.
I love it.
Down the rabbit, down the rabbit, down the rabbit hole. Down the rabbit, down the rabbit, down the rabbit hole.
I have a special guest for y'all today. One of my good friends and sound healer extraordinaire, Kayce Laine.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. We're here.
We are here. It's been a long time coming.
It is.
I feel like we've known each other for about, 5 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, that sounds about right. It's
been a while.
In different iterations of our lives, too.
Yeah. You've been my piano teacher, my crystal healer, my sound coach now, and my co-writer on a bunch of songs.
Oh my gosh, we've been on so many journeys together.
And we occasionally send memes to each other.
It's true.
Yes. You're one of my good rabbit hole friends. We tend to go down a bunch.
We do.
Yes. And stay grounded though, right?
The whole time we have to, because it's really easy, I feel like, to not be these days. So
Yeah, especially when it's a lot of, dark stuff going on. So trying to stay in the light is a little hard sometimes.
yeah, it really is. But more important now than ever, I feel like.
Right. So we have the lovely Kayce Laine with us today, and we're going to talk a bunch about sound healing, crystal healing. Really, just you do a lot of training sound healers as well, and kind of talk about how you got into this journey. I know you're a musician and you've sang music your whole life.
Yeah.
So it feels like getting into sound bowls was very much so in the realm of what you were already used to. So what drew you into sound healing? You started in singing, songwriting. You grew up in Virginia and then moved to New York City and then found your way here to Nashville and had a whole journey before that.
I mean, it's all been a journey. Yes, you were right. You nailed a lot of it. I grew up on the East Coast of Virginia, moved to New York City to do music full time there right after college, majored in music, never really felt like it was like college really served me in too many ways because I just knew I was gonna go play in bars after that. So I was like, I don't really know why I'm here, but
You're
I had
going
fun.
rogue.
I loved it. And then I went to New York City and played in a bunch of bands there, did music full time, like I said, toured with a bunch of different bands, and then found myself in Nashville, Tennessee, literally 10 years ago this week.
Oh my God.
Is when I went into the studio with my now husband and made a record with him. We fell in love. I moved here to be with him. And then I found myself with a day job for the first and last time. And I was there for 5 years. And during that time, I really struggled with my identity, for one, because up until then, I'd always been this wild and free musician, like half head of hair shaved off and, partying and that whole lifestyle. And suddenly I'm like, wow, now I'm a 9-to-5 girly and I have to wake up to an alarm every day at like 7 a.m. And here I have to,
Sounds awful.
So honestly, there were some dark days in there, but the job I had was actually quite great. I was a publicist, and especially reflecting back now, I learned so much with that position that I've been able to apply to what I'm doing now, and it's helped my career now advance to where it is. So no regrets. I learned a ton. And during that time, I was getting into different types of alternative healing and ended up getting certified as a crystal healer first, I think in 2018, and then in 2019, or no, I think it was the same year. I did Reiki training and then started into sound healing. Got my first crystal bowl when I was doing the crystal healing training, and that was the first of very many, as you know. But yeah, when I was working in that job, I just kind of felt like by the time I went through the pretty rigorous training that you've actually also started down, I felt like I was ready to just do it full time, and my job felt more and more out of alignment every day for what I really wanted to do with my life. So I took the leap and quit the day job in 2021 and never really looked back. It's been great.
Yeah, I get it. Because your life now is like, I watch it online a lot, but I also am friends with you. So I see a lot of it too in person. And it's like so magical. Like your daily life is magical. Like you literally live in the magic. It's it's a beautiful thing to watch.
I'm very lucky.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's beautiful, the things that you're able to do and the places you're able to go and play for and all those things. I just want to ask kind of how you got into crystals. Was it something you were pulled to or something you've always been into? Because you're very well versed on crystals, energy, all of that.
Yeah. It's funny. I spend so much of my time now talking about sound that I don't really think about my first like metaphysical love, which was crystals. And there was a place, and you might remember it. I'm trying to think about how long you've been on the East Side, but there was a place called High Garden.
Yes. And they got taken out in 2020.
Yeah. Well, when they existed, I used to do a ton of meetings there and try to like spend as much time in that place as I could because it was so cool.
It's like Harry Potter.
Right?
Yeah.
And I had kind of collected some crystals. It's funny, like when I lived in New York, there was not room for a like plant in my apartment, so I had no excess room for fun decorative things like crystals.
Did you live in a closet?
Yeah, well, it was a hallway.
Oh, it's a hallway. Oh,
yeah.
That's pretty big for New York,
closet,
actually.
No closet for sure. It was a hallway, and so yeah, there wasn't any space for anything like that. That like, you know, now I feel like it's more than just looks cool in a space. It brings an energy to it. Once I, you know, had a little bit more money that I could spend on things like crystals that aren't necessary in life, I got a few of them, and then I saw this book at High Garden, and it was like, oh my gosh, I don't remember the exact name of it, but it was talking just about like crystal energy and how to work with it. And so I started reading this book and doing some of the crystal meditations that it had in it. And they were actually real things that I was experiencing from these crystals. And it was really the first one that like, I was sold. I like placed the crystal over my hand and literally felt the energy of it. And I was like, wait, I'm not making this up. I'm feeling something coming out of this other thing onto me. It's not in my head. It's a very physical reaction that I'm getting.
I get that with moldavite.
Yeah, certain ones are definitely more intense than others. And so yeah, after that I was like, oh, there's something to this. And so then I start Googling like how to become a certified crystal healer and found this really cool training that now doesn't exist, of course, but her name was Hibiscus Moon Crystal Academy. She was the science teacher who created the pseudonym so she could talk about crystals and woo-woo things without her job being compromised.
I love that.
I know, she was cool. In fact, all of her first YouTube videos are just her hands because she didn't want to show her face.
Well, that is like something to talk about though, is that people have to be like careful with some of this stuff because a lot of people don't understand it. And a lot of it is claimed to be witchcraft and like things like that, when really it is science and quantum physics. And I had a whole frequency episode, but it talks about how everything is a vibration and everything holds a vibration.
Totally.
And crystals are, I mean, they're from the freaking earth.
Yeah. They are perfection.
Yes.
Yeah. On a molecular level, they are like structured to be so perfect. And because of that, their frequency is more strong or intense. And so that's why we're able to feel the energy of them, because us as humans, we're not so perfect on a molecular level. So we're easily affected by things that come into our field. And so that's part of how it all works. But yeah, the Crystal Academy, it just kind of got me into this whole new world. And it was a really cool training because you learn how to give chakra balancing sessions to people one-to-one. And then Reiki really, it just kind of moved into Reiki really soon after that, just a couple months after I finished that program. And during that time too, I bought my first crystal bowl that like, as I'm playing, I'm like, this is so cool. And one of the things that happened that I thought was interesting was I went to a sound bath here in Nashville, and I had gone to a handful of them, and I was really interested in learning more about it. Just as a musician, very drawn to that practice. And the person told me to basically stay in my lane. She was like, you don't need to be worrying about sound healing. Like, I got that covered here in Nashville. You should just stick with crystals. And I was like, okay.
Which is like absurd because as like in the healing industry, it's not a competition.
Right.
Like everybody provides their own element of healing. And even like because in massage, it's everyone has their distinct flow or their distinct energy that you're getting with them. So
yeah,
I find that to be extremely frustrating, and it definitely gets in your head, because I think the most the thing that's kind of pushed me more into healing is the other healers around me, like trying to push me into it. Like you're one of them in particular. We've talked a lot over the years about me finding my field, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
But that's really frustrating.
Yeah, it was weird, and looking back, I feel like it's weirder. In the moment, I was kind of like, oh, she's right. Like she's doing that. I should like focus on this other thing and like let that be the thing I'm like quote unquote known for here. And then eventually I was like, actually no, I'm not gonna listen to that. I'm gonna go do a training and got into it, and now here I am training a ton of people every year in the area to do,
And how many
to do what I do.
do you actually have, Kayce?
I don't even know. I actually don't know. It's probably around 30, I would say. Because the problem is I have a whole set here, and then I have a whole set at my parents' house, and then I have a whole set in my shed. So I've never had them all in one space at the same time to count. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a problem. It's a little bit of a problem.
I mean, it's a little bit, yeah. I mean, but you're using it for work. It's a
business expense for sure.
Write it off.
Oh yeah, all of it.
America, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm like, can I write part of my shed off as because it's storage for all my
Technically,
stuff? Yeah.
I think you could, yeah.
Yeah.
And, lots of other things. No, do the cats ever climb in your sound bowls?
No. I mean, I don't keep them out so that they could, but yeah, they luckily have steered a bit clear of them.
I wonder if
they're confused by the sound bowls.
if they're ever in it, can you just play it?
I tried to once, actually. They're too big now, but when I first had one of my kittens, I like tried to put her in it, and she was not having it, and I was like, okay, I feel guilty, so I'll just put her outside of it, and I like played the bowl, and she was so confused. She was looking all around, because what happens with crystal bowls, if you've never been in the room with them, it's like, yes, you can tell like the source of sound is the bowl, but it also is reflecting off of all the different surfaces in the room, so you're kind of getting this like total surround sound feeling from it, and it was so like it freaked her out. She like didn't love it, and my vision of her like loving it and like laying over for a nap just didn't happen. I was like, okay, never mind.
No sound bowl kitties.
Yeah, it's okay. We moved on.
The main thing with working with sound bowls is that frequency plus intention equals healing.
Yes, look at you.
I read the course. I did pay some attention.
I love it.
How do you go into one-on-one sessions and then group sessions? Like, how do you decide what kind of intention that you're bringing in? Do you go in with like a general intention of just helping and healing, or do you have like certain themes for certain like sound baths?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the group. So I worked a bunch with a mental health facility and a detox center for a few years. And those sessions, I had a very different, mindset going into them and intention for them than I would like at Soho House where I do stuff,
Yeah.
It really depends on the audience, so to speak, and what they're going through. So with the people in those, more vulnerable situations, I wasn't necessarily trying to do a lot of releasing. I was trying to make it very harmonious. And so, for me, it was usually peace was like the word. I'll still do that one for other things. Often my kind of go-to is just love. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy and cliche, but that truly is like, if there's one emotion and one intention that I could have, that I can, it's kind of a universal thing for a group of people, it's love. I want people to feel love from my heart to theirs, and the frequencies that they're absorbing from my bowl babies, I want it to all be love. So that's kind of like my blanket go-to intention.
And the world needs more love. So
yes, it does.
Yeah, that's never a bad intention to have. I think more of us need that intention on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. I've been talking so much about how it's not that hard to just be nice and a good person to other people, and to just spread love and happiness. It's so much harder to spread hate, and
absolutely.
I'm in a fight with
the darkness, the dark lords,
the darkness that's taken over some women of our generation. I'm trying to figure it out. This lady was so mean, and it just like, when people are mean, the like energy that goes into it like sticks like on you for like longer than just that like split second. And I'm just like,
Well, it also comes back to entrainment, right? Like what I was saying with crystals and how we are so easily impacted by energies in the space around us. It's like we pick up on those things so easily. And when someone comes into a space that you're in, like physically, we feel their stronger emotion. Hate is such a strong negative thing that we're gonna all pick up on, like no matter what. And depending, I don't know what happened, but depending on what happened, it could stick with you for a minute. I'm like so sensitive to people. If someone's mean to me, I'm like, it'll wreck me. I like won't sleep for a week.
You are definitely a Pisces for
I
sure.
know.
Yeah, double Pisces.
Double Pisces. I know.
Yeah. I was looking at CoStar earlier, and I was like, it's very toxic because it told me to go on a bender today, and I was like, let me check Kayce's horoscope.
What did it say for me? What's mine?
I couldn't figure out. It didn't come up for you because I guess it only generates certain friends for the day, but I think you're doing good.
I know, I haven't looked today. I try not to get too attached to those things.
No, and like, why would your horoscope tell you to go on a bender? It's just,
I mean, what does that even mean? You're supposed
I've
to
been
just
trying to heal myself.
Trigger.
Right.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so maybe I will go on a bender today.
I don't use CoStar. I use Pattern.
Okay, I use Pattern too, and then I found a new one called Nebula, which is based all on the human design stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's a whole other world that I haven't gotten into.
It's either you're into like super astrology or you're into like human design. I feel like, and I've tried to combine both of them, but it's very different things. What are your favorite frequencies to work with?
That's an interesting question. You know, I'm not someone who puts a lot of stake or emphasis in specific frequencies. So it's funny. I have this group coaching container called the Sound Healer Society. And yesterday we got into quite the fun, healthy debate about 432 versus 440 tuning. And it's also very connected to this idea of like these universal frequencies that have a universal effect on everyone. And we are all so different. So if you really do think about our bodies as this symphony of sound with different frequencies for every organ and tissue and all of that stuff, it's all different, right? It's all similar ratios within our body that will keep things like in harmony and in tune and sound health. But we're all different from each other, right? And so I feel like there's kind of this, I don't want to say danger because I don't know like how dangerous it really is, but there's so much information out there about certain frequencies that have these connotations to them. Yeah. Most of them are positive, right? So like, 888 is like the frequency of abundance, and like 111 is the angel frequency. And like, some of these things that are just like, sure, yes, if you want to add in that intention and you want to say like, when I am listening to this track of this frequency, it is going, like, I'm going to be meditating on that outcome. But as far as like using a specific frequency and guaranteeing certain results, I just don't think that's a thing. So I don't necessarily like say like, here's a 256 hertz bowl and it's gonna do this,
because it's kind of like, I like how you said where everybody's different, so it's like taking a different supplement may be good for somebody, or eating a certain diet may be good for somebody, but it doesn't mean that it's a universally. Because I was even gonna ask you like, what, there's healing frequencies, are there harming frequencies? Like, do we know certain numbers or something that is actually more harmful? Because I know there's like the devil tone. Right, is that what it's called?
Well, that's an interval, so that's two notes played together that
and it really does though.
It feels gross.
It kind of
the sixth.
It's too. It is. And they play it in horror movies, like under the tracks and stuff like that. So I think it's interesting that there's healing ones, but then there's also harming ones. And then I was thinking too, because I've always been so like I'm scared of the YouTube frequency videos.
Okay.
I don't know what they're actually putting in them. Like watching 4 hours of a video, how do I know if I'm asleep during certain times, if I'm being affected by, like, what am I, ingesting?
Yeah.
So
I think that caution can be good. Yeah. As far as, honestly, 888 hertz, like if we were to like put that tone on in this room, we would hate it. Like it is high pitched. And I think it's weird. It is kind of like a whole other thing. But so I live close to this sketchy corner of town, and I swear this is on the corner of Dickerson.
you do live next to the sketchy corner.
And Ewing / Broadmoor. And these, somewhere at that corner, they are playing these high pitched frequencies out there. And every time I get to that corner and next time you go by there, you got to check it out. It's weird because I noticed it years ago, and now every time I'm there, and I think it is literally trying to deter people from loitering and like hanging around that corner.
That's
it is
crazy.
Wild. And I don't know what exact frequency it is, but it's a couple of them, and they're really high pitched and they're really
just
hard to hear.
agitating.
I mean, if I have the windows down in my car, I roll them up when I get there because it's just like painful. Even if I'm at the stoplight for like 30 seconds,
Is
it's
it
too
that
much.
sketchy little gas station?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a sketchy little gas station.
Yeah, so like there is the weaponization of frequencies, and at least I imagine many of those are high-pitched frequencies because they're just so uncomfortable to listen to, especially when they're louder. And then there's also frequencies that are out of our hearing range that can be affecting us all the time, from 5G towers and our Wi-Fi routers in our home and all of those things. So,
well, the 5G is always interesting because I always think back to this one video, and I think it's a bunch of ravens, but they're literally just trying to tear this tower apart. And it's like, what frequencies are the animals hearing? And
totally.
Like even now in our oceans with all the dolphins trying to commit suicide on the beach, and like there's been a bunch of whales washing up. So it's
the trees around the 5G towers dying.
Yes,
and
even your smart monitor on your house. If you look at it, there's like tree that will be completely alive on one side and then completely dead on the other side.
Yeah, it's scary because we can't really control it, right? Like our bodies are absorbing frequencies that we can't hear, and who knows what they're doing,
So are there ways that we can protect ourselves against that?
Besides turning your Wi-Fi off at night, which I don't do, but probably should. I think part of the big lesson that I've learned through all of my education in this work and kind of living it in the past 4.5 years now is that we can start to take inventory of the sounds in our daily life. And, we're talking like intense frequencies and stuff, but if you just think about the way that sounds impact our nervous system that we do hear, whether that's the alarm you're waking up with in the morning to people honking their horn or like your dog barking or, all those things that we get hit with throughout the day that send shots of cortisol into our system. And, even text message notifications. I mean, my phone has not had a sound come out of it in like years. And that's just because of like, I don't need that extra little jolt of energy. And, when I had my day job and I was getting emails all day, I noticed that every time I got an email, like the little email sound would come from my computer and it was like a little,
well, it's like that.
And it gave me anxiety.
The Pavlov method with dogs, right? Where
I don't know this. I don't have dogs, but like, tell me.
Well, like they'd play a sound and then the dogs would get a treat and then they would start to kind of like salivate whenever they removed the treat later on and they played the sound. It was like they knew that was what was coming. And so in Japan and a few other countries, they've been doing that with like notifications. So if you get like an email, and you respond to it, it will give you like a piece of candy or like spray a nice fragrance or
weird.
It's like we're being trained in order to respond to these things.
Totally.
But I never thought about how it does jolt your like everything. It triggers it.
Yeah.
So with protecting yourself against different harmful EMFs, have you ever gone into like the frequency harmonizers or the stuff you put on back of your phones or
I have not done frequency harmonizers. I've had a shungite phone case to help with some of that. Yeah.
Like a whole phone case?
Yeah. Well, not the whole thing, just the back of it had like a shungite little sleeve.
Yeah, I had
it.
a stage of making those necklaces for a while.
Yeah, well, I think that is something. You know, I've got shungite crystals all over like the electronics in my home too, and I think that is something that we can all do. And then I think honestly, just building up an awareness of the frequencies that you allow into your space can really help. Not necessarily, again, thinking about things like, oh, this is a harmful frequency and I want to block it, but also just like, you know, creating a sense of peace in your environment that like, maybe you turn on, you know, some solfeggio frequencies in the day when you're like trying to do your hard, scary hours of work, emails that you need to just get through, and really using sound in your environment as a tool to help you, and just again creating that awareness around, you know, what I call sonic hygiene, and giving yourself time with no sound sometimes. I think can be.
Ask you that.
yeah, it can be hard to do that because it's so easy to turn on the podcast, to turn on the radio. Like, I mean, I'm guilty of it where I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to the shower. If I'm in the shower, I'm going to have some sort of podcast on while I'm there, or like while I'm cleaning or while I'm on my walk or run or whatever. And so really taking time, intentional time to just be in silence can be really helpful, because that's also where we can, you know, commune in other dimensions, you know?
Yes. And have you been traveling to any other dimensions lately?
I mean, it depends on what you mean by that. At first I thought you were gonna ask about like just traveling in general, because I'm like, yes, I've done a lot of that.
You did meet a leprechaun recently.
I did.
Not that you aren't one yourself.
I know. Tim made us go to the Leprechaun Museum. I think he was expecting there to be like all of these artifacts of leprechauns, because he was very disappointed that it was like this theater production. And he was like, well, I thought, you know, they would have some kind of, I'm like, Tim, you thought they were gonna have like leprechaun clothes and like
old, like
a little hat, like
different mummies of leprechauns.
Yeah, here's the grave site. Yeah, he really he was a little bummed, which I thought was kind of cute.
Tim.
We did meet that little leprechaun dude in the forest.
So you got to take your crystal bowls to Scotland and Ireland with you.
Okay, no, I did not bring the bowls with me on that trip.
What did you bring?
So I brought other instruments that are easier to travel with. Because the crystal bowls are very fragile and very expensive and just kind of a liability. And we were doing so much moving around between cities and Airbnbs and hotels that it was just going to be a little more stressful than it was worth for the cool content that we could get with them. So I opted for more easily travelable instruments for that. But I did go to Iceland with the bowls last year, that was worth it. Tim wasn't with me to tell me no, don't bring them, so I went for it.
Tim's like, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, he was like, please do not bring your bowls. It's just gonna add so much stress to our lives, because like I don't want to leave them in the car.
Yeah,
you know, I just had someone who had their bowls stolen out of their car recently, and I was like, y'all, I mean, I wasn't gonna like go on like these 8-mile hikes with my bowl strapped to me. So
we met a girl that does that recently. The one who was at the Sound Bowl weekend. The girl who takes them out into the river and plays.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Now hers were from Amazon, but
they were from Amazon. Little different risk.
Yeah. So can we actually touch on that for a second? Because that brings me into fake crystals and the harmful mining that does happen with crystals.
Yeah.
Not everything is ethically sourced.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, and that goes for bowls and just crystals in general. I think it's a sad truth of it. Like, yeah, you need to kind of build an awareness of where you're sourcing things and where you're getting them, because in some of these countries, there's some, you know, like the blood diamonds and that kind of thing. Like that's all very real.
The Congo.
And so fake crystals kind of in general that's like a totally other can of worms, because there's so many out there that are glass or something that's totally different, like a silicate kind of a thing that people are capitalizing on. Things like opalite, that's one I fell for because it's so pretty.
Is it not real?
No, it's glass. I know. Even sandstone, I think, is the other one where it's like, or sunstone.
Sunstone
Sunstone might be real. sandstone. Anyway, it's like really glittery, and like some of them you're like, okay, yeah,
You
I
made
can tell
this in a
that's
lab.
fake. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cherry
it lights
quartz,
on
like
fire.
Yeah. There's some that are like have like the very names that you're kind of like, yeah, there's a cherry quartz. And I've actually been gifted 2 big cherry quartz things. Tim got me one once because they look so cool. And then I got it. I was like, this is fake. And he was like, what? And then someone gifted me one recently. And I was like, yeah, fake.
Can you,
but
like,
I didn't tell her. I didn't want to.
Can you feel the energy of fakeness?
I feel like you can. And you can, once you kind of start learning more about them, it's a feeling, like a literal feeling, like physical feeling, but it's also like a gut feeling and like an energetic feeling. And then it's also how it looks. So I got like a crystal, you know, I drink out of my crystal water bottles all the time. And I wanted to get a cheaper one because I mostly just needed a new glass piece because I broken them a lot. But I got this one in the mail and it was like a cheaper one from Amazon, and I get it. And I just immediately knew that the crystal inside was not real because it had weird bubbles. It reflected the sun like a, you know, like a sun catcher would, and like with the rainbow. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is fake. So yeah, you just gotta, you know, unfortunately you get what you pay for a lot of times if something's like super cheap. And I mean, sometimes these fake things are very expensive too. So yeah, just knowing the source, having conversations with the store owners, or if you're able to go to gym shows and talk to the people who are selling the stuff and just kind of, you know, ask some questions to get some clarity on where was this sourced, and, you know, is there a relationship there? Do you trust it? And usually places that are serious about their crystals are going to have a little discernment with what they're selling
and not put child labor crystals for sale.
Literally. Yeah.
Because that is a thing. And unfortunately, I think Amazon, be careful what you're buying off of there, because I don't think they ethically check all of that.
Oh, no, not at all.
Not at all. First, what's it like playing at these large venues like the Parthenon and, you know, with the Nashville Symphony and all these, you've played at some cool places. You've played for people at the Ryman, at least behind the scenes, and you've done a lot.
Yeah, I've made it work somehow. Done some cool stuff. Again, kind of dipping into that PR background to learn how to pitch myself the way that I feel like has worked with some things.
Screw that lady that said that you can't do it, because obviously you can.
Obviously I was supposed to. You know? I think there was a good lesson there too. But yeah, I mean, playing some of these venues, I mean, hands down, Nashville Symphony was the coolest thing I've ever done. And I'm really excited because they invited me back. Just as a quick little plug, they're going to have me back in January. Tickets just went on sale today actually for it. And this time they're going to actually have symphony players playing with me. So I'm going to be rehearsing with the symphony and having them score out the whole sound experience. So
oh my gosh.
if that couldn't, the only way to kind of top that experience would be to have had symphony players. And so now we're going to do it. And I'm really excited for that.
All right, I'll get my tickets because that would be awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, those spaces are very cool. It's definitely, you know, I think there's a level of you're playing for so many more people, so it's a very different energetic exchange. I'm like hyper focused on not messing up and like making sure it's all working. And so like it, you know, the intimacy that you get in some of the smaller rooms that I've done gets lost. And same with the bowls, you know, you're hearing them through a sound system, so it's going to feel a little different. I mean, the symphony has definitely figured out a way to make, you know, these instruments sound good in the space. And it sounded so good in there. The big spaces are great and small spaces are great too. You know, you kind of get different experiences from all of it. So it's nice to have a little mix. Yeah.
And so throughout all of the things you do, whether it's teaching, doing one-on-one sessions or group sessions, you're doing your own podcast now. Mm-hmm. That's exciting. Yeah. So what are you going to be talking about on that?
Yeah, I launched a podcast just a couple months ago. It's called Beyond the Sound, Demystifying the Business of Sound Healing. And on it, I'm interviewing other sound healers who are doing this work, either full-time or mostly full-time, and kind of experts in the sound healing world, just to kind of share their stories about how they've been able to make a career out of it and different areas of expertise that they're good in, whether it's social media or branding, or I even had a lawyer on to talk about about protecting yourself as a sound healer. So just trying to kind of bring the conversation that didn't exist, and it wasn't really something that I planned on doing starting my podcast. But then last year when I released a course, it's called Music Theory for Sound Healers. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to pitch myself to all the sound healing business podcasts. And then there was literally not a single one. And then there's actually only one true sound healing podcast that was, you know, one of my good friends, and I'd already been on it. And I was like, wait, there's no other podcasts on this? How is that possible?
Yeah.
That's insane. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I got to make one then. So here I am doing it. And it's been really fun, as you can tell, like, you know, being in the interviewer seat is really fun to learn from people and kind of, you know,
it is,
bring a little
especially
spice to life.
We're podcast girls through and through. So I think that actually doing it is awesome, because I think that you have something to say. You have a magical life. Like, it's just beautiful. I love it. I'm like, oh, Kayce's doing something whimsical again, and I need some more whimsy in my life.
I know. I do feel lucky. It's funny. I actually had an interview yesterday with a guy who was like, it was at noon our time, and he was only Eastern, so it was only an hour ahead. But he was like, yeah, this is my 10th interview of the day of this like rolling thing that we're doing with the Sound Healing Academy, and this is the last thing I have today. And I was like, wow, this is the first thing I have today. So we're on totally, I like have been able, I'm very fortunate that I could like schedule my days. Like, this is the first thing I have today with you. Schedule my days to have like nice peaceful mornings. I feel like I have to like set my day up the right way with that. Yeah. So I'm really lucky that I can, you know, build some of that magic into my daily life. It's important.
You really are, though. I mean, like, seriously. And you probably have more crystals than I do as well, so that's saying something.
I know. And I went on a big crystal purge recently because I was just like, I have too many crystals.
Did you call me?
No, well, I gave them to all my nieces.
Okay, fine, that's fair.
It was at Christmas time, and I just like grabbed them and I just kind of like sorted them out, and I was like, here you guys go, like, have your pick. I was like, I gotta get rid of some of these because all those places on my shelves are now for crystal
Do you
bowls.
only have nieces?
Yeah. It's a girl's life in our family.
Your dad.
I know. Some karma he's working out in this lifetime for sure. To have 4 daughters and 4 granddaughters. Like, the math is like, the odds of that are so low. It's crazy. So we'll see. Yeah. Maybe I'll ruin the tradition. We'll see.
We'll see. You could also have a beautiful daughter as well.
I'd be happy either way.
We're throwing that energy out there, everybody. So throughout your work, or maybe not even personal experience, but is there any stories of people who have had, like, there's no doubt that it was sound healing that kind of healed them, or, you know, encouraged their healing journey to become complete? I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, that was a long way. All of these things are always anecdotal too, right? So just because one thing has happened with one person doesn't mean this is possible for every single person, although I feel like where there's a will and the intention, there's a way. I had one of my favorite stories is I had a veteran come to me. This was about a year ago, I think, actually. And she had, I'll try to keep this really brief, but it was like an insane story. She came to me, she had lost hearing in her right ear because of an explosion that happened while she was out in, I think it was Afghanistan. And the weird thing was that she was in this vehicle out in the middle of the desert and had her foot propping the door open of this vehicle, and just to like let air in because it was super hot. And she heard this voice super loud in her head that said, "Shut the door." And I know, me too. She was like, that's weird, but okay, and like moved her foot and the door shut, and within a second a explosion happened right outside the vehicle. God. And had the door been open, they probably all would have died in this vehicle, but they were saved. But because of the loud explosion, she ended up losing hearing. And so she came to me and she was just like, you know, I had this really traumatic experience and it was because of a sound, and I just want to like experience sound in this healing way. I'm really curious about it. So we do a session. It was just kind of like, you know, kind of did my normalish thing with her. And then afterwards she sat up and she was like, the ringing in my ear is gone. And I was like, what? You never mentioned any ringing in your ear. And she apparently had ringing in her ear since that day. And she just kind of wrote it off, and it was tinnitus, and had tried all these different things. And then we kind of had a moment about that. And then she left, and then she emailed me. She's like, I'm coming back because it's been gone for 10 days. And then it came back, like the ringing came back after 10 days. And I was like, that is insane. Cause I thought maybe it would go away for like, you know, an hour, or like maybe a day, but it was like over a week. And so she came back, and we kind of figured out over a series of sessions, like what exactly I did that caused that sound to kind of, as we said, cancel out. And we figured out what frequency it was and what bowl it was. And then we bought her a bowl in that frequency. And now she has a bowl, and she's able to like play the bowl whenever her tinnitus comes back and heal her ringing in her ear.
What bowl was it?
It's an A sharp.
That's amazing.
Yeah, a fourth octave A sharp. And so she, you know, I've actually had people hear that story, and then they're like, hey, what note was it? What frequency? And I'm like, this is what it was for her. But like, I feel like everyone probably has a different, you know, the frequency that's ringing in people's ears is different for everyone.
Yeah.
I imagine. And so I don't know that exact note would work for everyone, but it's still very cool to know that is a thing. And that was probably the coolest thing that's happened with this practice, because it was so like undeniable, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. I know. And she had such a cool story too. Like,
yeah.
And she was like, the whole like voice telling her, she was like, that's a whole other thing. Pretty wild.
But that's beautiful. I mean, there are forces, or a force out there that does try to protect us sometimes if we listen, right?
Yep.
Well, you kind of touched base on how it was an A sharp. Can you kind of go in a little bit, just briefly, on how the different bowls are different notes and different frequencies, and how each one's unique, and each one kind of has, I mean, there's a lot of different alchemy that goes into certain bowls as well.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably a little bit long and not as brief, but
yeah. So yeah, like I said, I have like 30 some bowls probably. I probably should count so I know, because people do ask me that, and I need to just get the number in front of me. But yeah, essentially with all of them, they range from the range of their frequencies is somewhat limited if you think about it compared to most other instruments out there. Like a piano, for example, it's like 88 keys spanning 8 octaves ish. So these all kind of span the third and fourth octave for the most part, and even more commonly is just the fourth octave. And so they're different bowls. Each bowl has their own frequency that can't be changed, so you can't tune them after the fact. So whenever you get a bowl, like, that's what she is forever and ever and ever. And so you have to be really specific when you're selecting them, especially at the beginning, if you want to be able to play your bowls with, you know, standard instruments out there that are tuned a specific way, so that they'll be in tune with them. So but without going down that whole rabbit hole, yes, every single bowl has its own frequency and is associated with a different note. And then we've kind of also associated each of those notes with different chakras or endocrine systems. And so we have these different intentions that are kind of like implied with each of those bowls that you can kind of bring into a session and work with in that way as well. And again, I'm not saying that everyone's root chakra is a C, middle C resonance.
But you just start with that now.
Right. But when you're playing your C bowl, it's like that's often the lowest note. So you do feel it a little more lower in the body. And so, yes, that is our more grounding note often. So yeah, bringing in like intentions for the different chakras and different energy centers in the body is nice to kind of like, you know, add in intention and frequency into a session.
Do you think that when they alchemize the different crystals into the bowls, that also brings out? Because most of the bowls they're quartz based, and then they infuse them with different types of elements, correct?
Yes. There's a company in Salt Lake City called Crystal Tones, and those are the bowls that I use that are infused with different gemstones and precious metals. So there's anywhere from smoky quartz to diamond to gold and platinum, and they are really pretty. They're really pretty to look at, for sure. As far as those energetic elements, I think a lot of it comes down to intention. I feel like, especially if you're just hearing them, like, you're not going to really be able to hear the difference between like a D note that's a smoky quartz versus a D note that's a blue kyanite. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to really know, but I do think it kind of adds another layer of intention. And so some people are really specific about, they want their crystals and those energies that each of, those associations of the crystals to also match with the associations of their note. So like, I only have a couple that are kind of like along those lines. So like my blue kyanite is a G bowl, which is G is the throat chakra. So that one works out really well.
Throat chakra era.
Yes. Yeah. You're in your throat chakra era. We love that.
Yes.
It's a fun era.
Where are you now?
I'm in my third eye now.
So you're dimension traveling.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm on the front end of it. So yeah, I loved my throat chakra era though. That was when I quit my job, started doing all this stuff, started adding my voice into my bowls, and working with my voice in a new way. And I also realized during that time too that the reason why I was kind of going crazy in my day job is because I wasn't singing. And for those of us who sing, it's like, that's how we process emotions. And when you put the lid on that, it can make you crazy.
I have a few friends going through that right now. And they can't sing, and it's not that they can't sing, but their job's not allowing them to, and I can see it kind of boiling over, and I'm like,
well, and even using your voice in this way is also an expression of that. So it is kind of fitting that you started a podcast during your throat chakra era. Look at you.
Look
alignment.
At us. I know. I love it. I love it too. It is weird because I don't know also if it's too from massage school and touching so many different bodies, but I don't seem to care much about what other people think anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah,
I mean, I still care a lot about what people think.
You're a Pisces.
Like, everyone has to love me all the time. Thank you. Please don't not like me.
Well, I love you, Kayce, and I'm so glad you came on here. Thank you for doing this.
This was so fun.
Yes.
We could obviously do this for hours. So
we could, and we'd probably get canceled by like hour two though. Just
that's
saying.
true. Yeah. we kept it pretty light and bright.
Censored this for you. If you want to go to the after hours podcast,
right?
No.
Really down the rabbit holes.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to Bekx and the White Rabbit. I'm your host, Bekx, and once again, it was so much fun to go down the rabbit hole. If any of this content resonates with you, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll be back next week. Thank you. Thank you, Kayce. I love
Thanks
you.
for having me. Love you.
Of course.
Of all the